maybe this would be a good time for you to tell a little more about your personal family story, Emily, and maybe introduce your sister, who is one of the sufferers living with the consequences of lack of medical care.
Yeah, so I think, one thing I've seen discussed in this whole issue over the last couple of years is, we don't want to pick on one particular religion, right? And I agree with that. And, my family was not members of this particular sect that's out, out in Canyon County. We live in southern Idaho, and my parents just, I think we're more fundamentalist than some people in the area, and decided that we were going to go to doctors. And so, there's 10 kids in our family. Most of us were very fortunate to get through with everything intact, and we were okay. But Mariah, she's the second to the youngest, and she, has suffered greatly for not being able to go to the doctor. And, I think as the oldest sister, I watched her. She was much smaller, she was blue, often she wasn't doing well, she wasn't growing, and even though, when I was younger, I asked my parents to take her to the doctor, and we could see that something was wrong, they didn't want to, and in some ways I regret not just picking her up and taking her to the ER and just insisting that someone do something. And in fact, if anyone out there is listening and has a family situation like that, I would actually encourage you to just do that and let the chips fall where they may, because someone's life isn't worth it. So, and you're crying, sorry. So Mariah actually wrote out her testimony. Do you wanna come up and give it now? Okay. And we're calling it a testimony because she's prepared at some point to talk in front of the legislature about it, but it's really her story. So is that an okay time for that, Claudia? Sounds like it. Okay, thanks.
Hi. My name is Mariah Walton. I'm the 9th of 10 children. When I turned 18, I made a phone call to the doctors, and I realized something was wrong with me because the day before I had been walking to the library and I had a very serious asthma attack. I've been calling it for years. And when I went in to go see my mom, she said I was fine and I shouldn't worry about it. And then I went to the bathroom and I collapsed and I could not get up by myself. I was so weak. And she came in and she pulled me up and she said, "Don't talk about it, you're fine." And so my parents had been divorced. My dad had come to see me, and my mom wasn't there. I thought the best time to get my dad to cooperate with this was before I woke up from work. And I had to blackmail him into doing it because I was like, if you don't do it, I'm going to call the cops. And so we went to the doctor, and I go to the waiting room, and I'm told to wait. And then the doctor comes out to me and she sees me, and she's like, it's your turn. And I went in and she started asking me a lot of questions that I didn't understand. And she used references I didn't know any of them meant. And then when she started asking me the questions, she said, have you had like any serious breathing issues, fatigueness? And I said yes to many of those questions. And then when I mentioned blue fingers and blue red mouth, she freaked out. And she said, "I'll be right back." And she didn't make a phone call. I kind of freaked. And then she came in and she told me I had this disease and I had no idea what it was. I was very scared going there. On the way back, I've been crying because I was so scared about what my parents were going to say to me, because my parents my whole life had threatened me if I were to go, I was going to care what would happen to me. The disease that I had was called pulmonary hypertension. It's very rare these days. There's not many treatments for it except high blood pressure medication and transplant afterwards. The disease consists of fatigueness, hard breathing, blue lips, blue fingertips, you just, if you don't get help right away, you have very shallow breathing, you can't walk very far, you're very exhausted by the end of the day, you have bad, throbbing headaches,